Hey guys, and welcome back to RPGVX Tutorials with me, Toby. Alright, so the last time I left you guys off, I was going over passage settings, which is a relatively easy concept, so it didn't last very long. Now, I would have put both passage settings and the tiles into the same video, but I'm just lazy like that. So anyway, time to get on to what I said we were going to get on to, events. Now, this is actually a pretty broad topic if I'm going to cover everything except switches and variables, so the video might be a little longer than normal, but bear with me. Alright, so let's get on to how to start. Well, first off, if you were just in tiles creating your map, then you're going to have to switch over to this EV button in order to get to the grid. Once you're in this little interface here, you can only access events, and just events, that's it. You can't access the tiles, just the events. Make sure you get that clear. Of course, if you want to do tiles again, you just click. Alright, so as far as I'm concerned, there are two kinds of events that you can make. Well, actually kind of like two types. You'll get what I mean in a sec. There are custom events that you make and you put all your custom commands in here. Or there are pre-created events that were created by the developers when they made this RPGVX RPGVX thing. We'll just be going over the pre-created events right now. So let's see what we got. First of all, you right-click to open up this little button here, or menu, and then you look in here, and there's other things like starting positions and stuff, but they're not important right now. Now, there are things such as transfers, so when you hit it, you'll get transferred to an area of your choosing. Doors, which, same thing, only it's a door. Treasure chests, which is pretty self-explanatory, and inn. Now, these two, the only thing you have to do, these two right here, the only thing you have to do is specify the position in which the player wants to go. Oh, and you don't even have to put a graphic. And then you put the direction that you want them to be facing when they enter there. So I'd say it's like for something like a stair set or something, or maybe a portal, I don't know, it's your choosing. And you can make it on any map you want, or you can just make it on your map, and by clicking here, you can see where he'll go. So, let's just set up a transfer at this mountain thing here, because we're going to be doing that, so we'll just leave that there. Yeah, and it's activated by player touch. We'll go over what all this means in a sec. And there are other things too. For example, a door, which is the same, only doors have graphics. So you can make the graphic whatever you want. Right now I'm just going to stick with this. Now here's the trick. If you want the transfer to go somewhere other than on the map, you have to actually make another map. See, right now, this building I made right here, it's just paint. There is no inside to it. You have to actually make a new map in order to make an inside to the house. The door doesn't have to lead to that map. It can lead wherever you want, but it makes more sense for it to lead to a house. Preferably the inside of the house. Alright, so, and once they've automatically created, the commands are already put in. These are all commands for what makes a door what it is. It's a little confusing for now, but later we'll be able to get on to what all this stuff actually means. Alright, so let's see another quick event creation. Treasure chest, very good. If you want to make a treasure chest, well, you can make a treasure chest whatever you want. And here are all the different chests. Interesting, aren't they? Now, these are all the graphics, and you can make the graphic whatever you want, but it'll always still have the same function. Each treasure chest can only hold one kind of thing. Either gold, an item, a weapon, or armor. Well, only one. Not one gold. You can put in however much gold you want. But you can only have one of these things. If you want an area that has a lot of items, make more treasure chests. So we'll say okay to that too. Oh, and this door doesn't really lead anywhere, so I'm just going to do a quick thing. I'm just going to change to where this door leads. I'll make it lead over there. I don't want to have to make the inside of the house just yet. Alright, so let's see how these events work. Oh, wait, there was one more. The inn. Right. Let's just make a quick inn. Price 10. Good. This thing gives 10 gold. Okay, anyway. Let's test and see how these events work. Events are basically things your character interacts with, other than tiles, which are something they just walk on. But without further ado, let's just take a look at what these events So here's your hero. I have a bunch of events around here. The transfer is below this mountain, if I recall. Or maybe not. Where did I put that transfer? Oh, there we go. The transfer's here, but it's invisible because it wasn't given a graphic. Because that wasn't part of its creation. So, actually, it'd be more like a trap, really. The transfer. Because since the player can't see it, it isn't a really effective door, is it? So it'd be more like a trap door or something. You never know. Okay, and for the inn, let's say I have, like, a lot of bad status effects or something. And I have low health and low MP. Well, if you talk to this person, they'll ask you the question, but you don't have any gold. So, you need to get some gold first. Let's get some gold from that chest. Just press the action button to open the little custom event, and you'll get 10 gold. And they're also pre-programmed so that they can only be opened once. So that's useful. And by walking into this door, you're transported to where you were before. So these events are pretty straightforward. And let's just show this for a minute. And there you go. If I had any problems with my character, he'd be healed by now. So let's shut down. Alright, now those are relatively simple. These events have, well, literally no glitch with them. Unless, of course, you want the innkeeper to say a specific thing. Other than that, these events are pretty well handled by the developers. Now, if there was something I could say about them, it's that they're pretty, well, basic, I'd have to say. Which is good, because it'd be easy for you guys to understand once you actually get into this sort of business. But now we're going to get into custom events. You guys are actually going to be making a lot of these, because you can't make NPCs non-player characters, for those who don't know. You can't make those guys that you can just talk to and they'll tell you something without using this. So you're going to end up making custom events. You can't just have inns and treasure chests everywhere. So let's take a look at what makes up the events. Now all this stuff, switch, variable, self-switch, item actor, this stuff is all going to be covered in the next part, which is all going to be about switches and complex stuff. Well, not really that complex. I can understand it pretty easy. Anyway, we're just going to be going over all this movement stuff and some of the commands that are in here. Not all of them, because they can get pretty complicated. Alright, now, let's say you want this NPC, so let's just give the NPC a character thing first. How about this kid? Alright, so you can make them move when you're not doing anything. So when you're just walking around the town, for example, this person will walk around in whatever way you specify. And here are some of them. Fixed means they won't move at all. Random means they'll just walk in random directions and they won't really have a destination. They'll just go wherever is random, whatever movement is randomly generated. This can be a problem though if you have choke points in the map like bridges or doorways or something. These NPCs could possibly get in the way. Although I'd say they move out of the way right away anyway. That was a rhyme. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. Anyway, they'll eventually move out of the way anyway. So you don't need to worry about them blocking choke points for that long. Although sometimes random can be a pain. Alright, approach means this NPC will continuously walk towards the player. So I suppose you could do this if you wanted a character that, like Pikachu, that follows you or something like that. Now, another thing that's actually quite interesting is custom, actually. I should have gone to that. Custom is, well, it's more like a pre-programmed script for the character to do. So if you wanted the character to go all the way to the bottom of the map, and then all the way to the top of the map like that, then they would just keep doing this. Although, once they've got all the way back up to the top of the map, and this command is over, they won't go anywhere anymore unless you hit repeat action. Which means it'll just keep repeating this list over and over and over again, whatever you programmed in. Now, skip if cannot move means if this character encounters something that's in its way, like an NPC, or if it hits a wall or something, it'll skip some of these commands until whatever it is moves out of the way. So let's say there's a tree in the way, and the character moves down, 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 but oh, it hits a tree. Well, it'll skip these commands, and then when it gets to the up command, the tree won't be in the way anymore, so it'll move up again. But for NPCs, this is a problem, because if you programmed the character that you designed with a specific route, like a carriage or something for to go around town, if an NPC walks in its way, it'll skip all the movements and it'll really screw up the route. And it'll, like, be terrible. You guys know what I'm talking about once you start trying to make events like that, but for now I won't go too deep into it. And there are all kinds of other things here too. I'm not going to explain all of them because they're pretty easy to understand just by looking at them and by using the what's this function. So things like turn on transparent or turn to the left, upper left, lower right, so all the diagonal directions. Pretty simple. We're just going to leave ours as fixed for now. And there are 4 last things we need to check out. Alright, now here's the speed. It means how fast the character moves, really. So, normal means they move as fast as you, 5 means they move quite fast, and 6 means they move really, really fast. Now, you can still track them with their eyes, it's just that they're moving extremely fast. It's more like for a character that you want to run away, or move with a sense of urgency or something. I don't know why you'd want to use this. I have a couple uses for it, but to each his own. Frequency is a little different. Now, did you notice when my character was walking around, he was just walking nice and smooth? Frequency means when they walk, they'll either go like this, so you just watch my mouse. They'll just walk nice and smooth, or they'll go like this. Boop, 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 like that. Frequency is more like the rate at which they move. You'll know what I mean once you guys actually start using these commands, and you'll know that I think 3 is normal, and 5... Well, I actually don't know what the higher frequencies are. Do they make the character move faster, or do they... I don't know. I figured it would have been at the lowest frequency and then just go up to normal, because I don't know what a faster frequency would look like, really. But anyway, that's of no concern to me. Now, another thing you need to worry about is these two, and they're relatively simple. The priority, which is basically what passage setting they are. Same as characters means they're going to be impassable, so the same as you. So if they run into you, you won't be able to just walk right through them. Below means you'll walk on top of them, and above means you'll walk below them. Now, I don't know why you'd want to use above and below for this kind of character, but for other things, like if you want to make something like a portal with a special look to it, or like a black door or something, or if you want to switch on a wall, then I suppose you would want to change the passage setting. But for NPCs, unless you want to make the NPC fly, I really don't see the point. These are a little different. These are called triggers. Now, there's a couple ways you can trigger them. Now, we're not going to get into auto-run and parallel process until later. Parallel process is probably going to be a video on its own. Action button means if you press space or enter, or whatever the action button is for you guys, the event will activate, and whatever's in here will come to place. Player touch means, I think it's, well, these two are pretty much the same. One is if the event touches you, and the other is if you touch the event. I'm not sure which is which, they're kind of confusing in that manner. But if you don't want to have to go over that, you can just hit what's this on this. Starts when touched using the directional buttons. Da-da-da-da-da-da. See? Simple, huh? Now, that takes care of that. And these things are pretty simple, too. You can just use what's this to figure them out. This means you can walk through them. That means they can't change the direction. And this means, oh yeah, stepping animation, when an animation is stopped. Anyway, let's get on to the important stuff. So, if you want to open up these commands, these are all kinds of things the event can do when you interact with it. You can either bring up this little menu, which the only thing available will be insert at the time, or just double-click. I usually double-click when I have to move quite fast. Now, I can't quite go through all of these because they're quite simple to understand, especially when you use the what's this function by using the right mouse button. But I am going to go over some of them. Alright, so there's show text, and you can type in something you want the character to say to you. So, boy, hello. And when you hit the action button, the boy will just say that, and that's it. There's also choices, so responses you can make, such as, oh, hello, or go away, things like that. This is just a simple interface. It means when you hit the escape button or the cancel button, I'm pretty sure you can change which key does what. When you hit cancel, will any of these choices be activated. You can have up to 4 choices anyway. So, if you hit cancel, will choice 1 be chosen by default? Will choice 2 be chosen by default? Or are you just going to disallow it and make it so they have to answer using the enter button? This is useful because if someone is just trying to speed run something and they accidentally hit escape, and hitting escape would cost them an item or something, you can just use this to make it so they don't make that mistake. Of course, if it's just a character that you respond to every time you talk to, you can go ahead and make them a jerk if they try and speed through it using the escape button or something. So, other than the choices, well, actually, for choices, there are one thing. Choices always branch off into 2 different sections, branches, whatever. So, for each choice, a different result happens. And you can make these huge. You can put huge amounts of results in here. And you can make a game where there are consequences. But you'd have to have switches for that kind of thing. And we're not going to get into that right yet. But you can make it so that each choice has a massive branch off of dialogue or something. Once the branch ends, however, anything past there happens regardless of what happened in the middle. Unless, of course, you made it branch off or something like that, but we'll just get into that later. So if I typed in here, you say hello, and then the boy would say, that's nice, or not that's nice, something like, nice day, isn't it, or something. And if you say, go away, he says, meanie. Well, then, when the branch ends, it doesn't matter what happened in the middle. This will happen by default. So if you're going to put in choices, just remember that if you make it so that these 2 leave you with a certain mood with the character, make sure that this is either neutral or don't even put it in at all. You don't have to put anything here. You can just make it so that it's the choice, and after you respond, that's the end of the event. It stops right there. So you can do that too. Alright, let's see what else we can look at. And remember, all this is activated by using the action button. We'll go over what it looks like later. Alright, so for flow control there are some other things, and we can't go through all of them, but there are things like calling a common event, which is in the database. Player transfer, so once you hit A on this character, they can talk to you or something and then ask you if you want to be transported somewhere. Vehicle locations. Event locations is very important. It makes it so that you can teleport an event somewhere using this direct designation thing. So this event, for example, after you talk to them, they'll disappear. And they'll transport somewhere else, and you have to chase them, or something. I don't know. There are other things, too, like move route. Oh, that's especially useful for cutscenes. Even one single event can branch off and become an entire cutscene from the moment you speak with them. But I'll show you how that works in a little while. But you can make it so that after you talk to this character, your player will then walk around by purpose of the move route. You remember that. Move routes. This looks like that screen from the custom thing. Well, it is basically the same thing, only you can select what's moving this time. You can make it this event, you can make it any event on the entire map. Move to what you want. Ugh, excuse me. Anyway, there are other things like showing animations. This is if you want an animation in the database to appear over your character. So if you want them to be hit with a melee thunder attack or something, or a slash ice attack, and as if they're under attack or something, you can do it that way. And it can be any event or the player itself, so no need to worry there. And erasing the event, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it makes it so that after this point, so let's pretend I typed in a bunch of stuff here like a whole dialogue, and after it's over, if you put erase event here, when all that's over, the event will disappear. But if you move off and on the map again, it'll be back. So don't think of it as getting rid of the event, because that's what the switches are for. Switches are for making things disappear permanently or impermanently, depending on how you orchestrate it. Balloon icon is just little emoticons, exclamations, stuff like that. And they can appear over whatever you want, as usual. Fade out screen and fade in screen, pretty straightforward. But remember, if you're going to make it fade out, don't make it fade in right away. Make sure there's a lot of crap in the middle. And, one of my favorites, a wait function. Wait means that the player will wait for a certain, well actually the entire game, will wait for a certain amount of time, and then the game will move forward. 60 frames doesn't mean 60 seconds, remember. 60 frames is, I think, about a second? I'm not sure. I never really worry about the math. I just use trial and error to get the timing I want. So, for example, fade out screen. After a second, fade in screen again. So wait means everything is stopped for that moment. Unless, of course, a parallel process is going on. But we'll get into that later. Other things are here like showing pictures that you have in your gallery. Your picture gallery, you can import custom pictures, so don't worry. You can use them for like dialog boxes and stuff, because remember, dialog boxes have to be dismissed by using the enter and space button. So if you're talking to a kid, for example, and he says something, until you press the enter or space button, he'll just stay up there. So don't try and use that for little small dialog boxes, things for like an intro or something. And these are pretty simple here. Playing the background music, fading it out, playing background sound, which is pretty much the same thing, and music effects, sound effect, all this stuff. Then there's tinting the screen, flashing the screen, shaking the screen, and all this stuff. And it's pretty self-explanatory once you actually take a look at it and you realize how the events work. Anyway, I'd say this is pretty much it. I'm just going to do a quick showing of how this event works. So, watch and learn. This will only take a couple seconds. Fine. Suck. Disallow. Always make sure to do that if you want to make sure nobody makes a mistake. Good. Meanie. I'm just being lazy right now. And if you say meanie, the screen fades out. The player must wait 1 second. And when the screen... Oops, don't want to do that. And when the screen fades back in, the boy moved over there. And then the branch ends. And you don't want to put anything there because, well, if this happened, all this here, then you'd still be able to hear him even though he ran away. Alright. Oh, by the way, you need to make sure you fade back in the screen or else this is going to stay all black and nasty. No offense to you guys out there. Maybe getting a little lag, so I'll have to be slow when I'm talking to this guy. Huh. Oh, I'm fine. That's weird. When did I tell it to fade out? Ah, there's one thing you guys should always be careful of. Where you put fade out screen. I don't know why it was all the way up there. But anyway, always make sure that you double check your events before you close them down. Or else you're just going to get what I got. Not very impressive, I'll admit. But I get a lot of these things when I'm working on my games, so it's pretty common. Hello, how are you today? Alright, if fine, we already saw before, he just says good. But if you say you suck, meanie, the screen fades out, you have to wait 60 seconds, and he's gone. And then you have to go find him again. And here he is. Of course, remember, this event hasn't changed, it's only moved. So if I talk to him again, I'm just going to get the same thing, and if I say you suck, the same thing will happen, but he'll transfer to the exact same spot as before. You can avoid this by using switches, which I'm going to show you guys in the next tutorial. You must wait before you learn all my secrets. Anyway, guys, this is pretty much it for this RPG tutorial. I got nothing else to teach you, and this was a pretty long video, I admit, but I covered a lot of ground, so talk to you later. This is Tobi, signing off.